Welcome to the fish tank.
Hey everybody, Fishman here. I know on Wednesdays I normally upload machining videos, but the bandsaw build is not quite ready for another full video, and I am getting so far behind in all my other videos. So especially this one here, because this is going to be my new rack system, testing out the new style of water changes and filtration and all that sort of stuff. And I want to get as many of these done as possible so that the videos are actually more in real time instead of something that I had done months ago. So I have a bit of a backlog to catch up on, and so I'm going to upload a couple of these on Wednesdays from now on just to try and get caught up. So this footage up to this point has just been the end of the last video where I built the rack and I put the foam on the underlay to keep the tanks off the metal. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the old tanks from the row of, like the bottom row of the rack behind here, because I never used them. I mean, I built them, well, almost 15 years ago now. Originally when that was air driven, I had growits in the bottom, but I tend to neglect them, so I ended up actually not really using those tanks, and I drained them. And then when I re-hooked up the new system, I never bothered to hook them up to the central filtration system because it was just too low. I would never get in there and work on them, and so I just left them dry. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch them over as the bottom row in this system, but because this rack is so much higher, as you can tell here, it's going to be much more convenient to work on. So now what I need to do is I need to hook it up for the water change system. So what I'm going to do is, because those are 2-inch holes, obviously I'm not going to re-drill this, so I'm just going to use the usual 1.5-inch piping that I'm going to use for those holes, and then I'm going to hook up so that the water can drain out when I do water changes. So these fittings here are going to fit in, well, it's a bulkhead, so one on the inside, one on the outside. These are the insert fittings, so that I can take the standard elbows and it'll just fit over to the side like this, and that way I can adjust how high I want the water level to be in the tank, and also it'll drain out. And so then what I can do is just going to put a standpipe. This is just an off-cut piece I have just for visual purposes, and it's going to go down to a T-joint, and that's going to hook up there, and pipes are going to go across the bottom, and that way the water will all collect and drain out one common hole. When I was deciding the length for these 3 pipes, I decided to go with the same system I've been running all along. It's going to, well, actually, if you look right in the background there, you can see the black pipe that's on the old rack. That has water flowing through it constantly. This one won't be, obviously, because it's just going to be for water changes. But because the top of that pipe, the horizontal pipe, is right at the bottom of the tank, it doesn't obstruct any views, and it doesn't get in the way at all. And I thought that was just perfect, and I figured I'd keep it for this system as well. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to glue these up, and I'm not going to show you all of them because it is just a lot of repetition. The only thing that's going to be different between the 3 pipes is how they connect to each other. The first one is just going to be an elbow, the second one's going to be a T, and the other one, there we go, the last one's going to be a T, but it's going to be heading in the opposite direction. So they'll collect all together, and then that last one will have a pipe and lead down, and it'll go to the drain. So I just need to cut the horizontal pipes. And the nice thing about this style is they're all the same length, and I just had to figure out what that was. I've glued up the first elbow here, and then I'm going to do now is connect it to the second one, and it's going to be exactly the same as when I did the Renault on the bottom tank over there. A little bit more space here, which is kind of nice. And just as with the last one, when I compress this glue joint together, I have to make sure that the bulkhead fittings fit through the round holes, so it makes it much easier to connect them up that way. So what I need to do now is just glue both sides up, and then make sure that everything is ready to fit in. And as in some cases when you're trying to do too many things at once, like film and whatnot, I just realized at this point that I glued the wrong side. Oh well, it's easy enough to fix. All I have to do is just, at this point, put glue on the right side, and then after I put the fitting in, just wipe the glue off before it dries. And then, because it's going to be a quick turnaround for me to get the next one on, it'll actually the solvent that's in the PVC glue will actually dissolve any of the dry glue that was on the fitting or the side of the fitting that had was glue before its time, and then it's just a matter of it'll set up properly. So it's no big deal, just one of those oops moments. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe that off, and then, like I said, I'm going to glue on the last one. I'm just putting on the bulkhead fittings just lightly here, just to hold everything in place. What I'm going to do at the end here is glue it all on. And then, after this, it's just a matter of building the brackets for the actual input for this water. And when I was deciding that, it was kind of odd because in the old system over there, it's under pressure. So when I feed water through, you do get a bit of a bleed off in pressure between the first tank in the row and the last tank in the row. But in this case, because it's going to be under considerably less pressure, actually I haven't even decided how much yet, I decided to go with a different style for how to glue it all up. That'll be evident in a few minutes here. You notice when I was setting this up for gluing, there was a bit of a shake in the rack system. I still haven't bolted this all down yet because I wanted to settle a bit before I do the final adjusting, just so there's no tension on any of the joints. That's why you can see there's a bit of a shake there. Once it's all settled up, once it's all bolted up, it'll be much more secure. And the other thing to keep in mind is when you're fitting these on is not to tighten them too tight. The silicone is just acting as a washer. It doesn't need to be put on with a pair of pliers or anything. You just need to be gentle because if you bang it, you can easily crack the tank, and the silicone acts as a nice little buffer. So don't squeeze too much of it out. And here we go. It's all finished up now. I just need to put on the common collecting pipe. So this is just going to be a 3/4 inch screw-in fitting. That's going to go to a 1/2 inch hose fitting, and that's just going to sit at the bottom here. And then it's going to connect a hose to that, probably with a quick release valve, and that's just going to go over to the drain. And there you go. The output's all done. So that's where it's going to drain all out. And like I said, it's not going to be high pressure, so it's just going to be a kind of a trickle feed. And then those U-type pipes at the top I have not glued in place. I'm not sure I'm going to, because I want to be able to adjust the water level, the heights and stuff. And also it'd be very easy to do water changes this way, like take a little bit of extra water out of a given tank if it needs a little bit more. But all that will become evident as these videos progress. So here I am. I'm just going to glue up the this is the feed system for the water changes, and it's exactly the same process as with the 1.5-inch pipes. These are just 1/2 inch, and if I don't think you can see, yeah, you can see it right there. The end caps I've already drilled. I just put a nice round hole. I think it was 3/8. I'm not sure, but it's not going to be glued in place, so it'll be easily changeable. And that's the other thing I can do is if I find they're getting too much water in one tank versus any of the others later on, I can just pull those off, because this is friction fit. And what I'll do then is adjust and make one thinner if I need a little bit more pressure at the far end. So that's pretty much everything done. All I haven't decided yet is, like I said before, I haven't decided what pressure I'm going to run this at, if any at all, really. So I've left this, these are just fittings for different hose sizes, depending on what size pump I go for, and that'll all be decided later once I fill and run this thing. So here it is, all hooked up. Like I said, I ran this horizontally instead of vertically in the back. You can see that way it'll fill up and hopefully drain out evenly. That may all, again, need to be adjusted, but that'll all be for the next video. So on Friday's video, what I plan to do is show you start doing the builds for the filters for the system. So the first filter will be on Friday, and then progressively, I want to get this running as quickly as possible, so I'll maybe even post more videos. We'll have to see how it goes. But at least now it's ready for water, which is excellent. I've been trying to get this going for quite some time now. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you like the style of video, please like and or subscribe. And don't worry about the mechanics of this. It'll become really obvious as I flow and run this. And as I work the kinks out, I'll bring you along just so you can see how all that works. And I'll make all the adjustments so you can see how that works as well. And also I have some sponge filters that are acclimating in my old system so it can get up and running as quickly as possible. And like I said, I'll bring you along. Thanks again for watching. Bye for now.